What was the schedule? The schedule has she's been over there like all day. I can imagine. Okay, so we're going to start, I'm going to keep, we have some ideas about what to do with this, but it seems to make the most sense, like, for me to just keep going up there and putting up words, because I don't want to, like, lose the trace of the conversation, but I'm making my choices, and other people make different choices, and we'll have a chance tomorrow to multiply. Thank you. Okay.
I'll just stop.
The view is okay.
Hello everyone. So I'm Despina Katapoti. I would like to thank all of you for being here, especially the people who invited me to contribute a paper to this wonderful workshop. Although I'm a prehistorian, so not very much in line with what classical antiquity or classical history or classical archaeology is about. I'm not even practicing prehistoric archaeology any longer, so what I'm going to bring to this discussion is mainly some thoughts and concerns that I have developed over issues that I think are compatible to the issues we are discussing here from the field of the digital humanities, which is something that I'm interested in later. I think I have to tell also the title of this presentation because I didn't manage to upload it. It's very short, but I don't know if it makes much sense. It's called Attention Ecology and the Classical. Liquid Antiquity is undoubtedly an impressive piece of work. Drawing upon what Michel Serres once described as liquid history, the book emphasizes the contribution that the figure of liquidity may have to the formation of a radically new perspective on Greek antiquity. And already from the introductory chapters of the volume, the editor's intention is to move beyond the petrifying powers long exercised over Greek antiquity by classicism, and this is blatantly clear. Brooke, in particular, encourages us to think of the past as an unpredictably generative resource for the present, capable of activating a plethora of images, voices, and ideas as it travels within and across different communities, engaging in diverse and dynamic processes of dialogue and dissemination. To meet this end, the project sets out to establish a forum of open-ended cross-fertilization, I use your words, bringing together the academy, the art world, and the public to reflect upon questions and challenges still posed by the classical past. Although I have not managed to read through the whole book, I think that even a cursory glance at the table of contents suffices to substantiate its points of convergence with broader developments in the fields of humanities, social sciences, as well as natural and applied sciences. Over the past few decades, concepts such as subjectivity, fragmentation, polyphony, fluidity figure quite prominently in a wide spectrum of works, commonly included under the rubric of the postmodernist paradigm, or late modernity, or no-modernity, if you wish. Postmodernity, or use any other term you like, describes a world coming to terms with its limitations, including the recognition that the modernist ambition of producing totalizing theories, grand narratives, and creeds has come to an end. In the wake of these developments, a growing body of literature in history, archaeology, museology, and cultural heritage studies, expresses a heightened sensitivity to the principles of openness and freedom. It commits itself to the establishment of conditions that favor the accommodation of an expansive collection of viewpoints, and as such also strives for the gates to the past to remain widely open. Everyone has to be able to find a way in, and in fact, everyone does. The past is a collective project, and thus we all have a joint curatorial responsibility. And here I quote Ian Hodder. To suggest that in terms of its content, liquid antiquity is highly attuned to the main principles and goals of the postmodernist paradigm is one thing. Here, however, I wish to approach this work from a slightly different perspective. More specifically, I want to raise some questions, taking as my point of departure that the book in question constitutes a medium. Karen Barrett once argued that the very form of a medium shapes the conditions of possibility of both objects and subjects. Both objects and subjects are agents produced retrospectively by an apparatus that assigns them their distinctive identities. So through the medium, we become objects and subjects. Work claims that one can think of media as a matter of attending together, where the attention is shaped in particular ways, carving out things to perceive and know, and individuating us into ourselves through the acts of attention. Perceptions and constructions of self are thus cut from the flow of trans-individual affect that may be the main thing media are actually for and about. Liquid antiquity is such an apparatus, a textual medium of a particular form. In fact, this form bears close resemblance to Roland Barthes' description of an ideal text. I quote, "In this ideal text, the networks are many and interact, without any one of them being able to surpass the rest. This text is a galaxy of signifiers, not a structure of signifieds. It has no beginning, it is reversible. We gain access to it by several entrances, none of which can be authoritatively declared to be the main one. The systems of meaning can take over this absolutely plural text, but their number is never closed, based as it is on the infinity of the language." Interestingly, liquid antiquity would not only constitute an ideal textual medium to the eyes of Roland Barthes, with its refusal to be contained, again from you, in its sublime excess, but also in its strange and persistent capacities to make connections, the volume's structure bears very close similarities to a digital text, or better, a hypertext. In seeking to exemplify the authors and readers required and created by hypertext, Yankelovich et al. Stressed the following. Both an author's tool and the reader's medium, a hypertext document system allows authors or groups of authors to link information together, create paths through a corpus of related material, annotate existing texts, and create notes that point readers to either bibliographic data or the body of the reference text. Readers can browse through linked, cross-referenced, annotated texts in an orderly but non-sequential manner. In view of the above, it could be argued that liquid antiquity is an example of explicit hypertextuality in non-electronic form. The book's hypertextual character stems from the firm belief shared by both its editors and contributors in the currently dominant paradigmatic values of decentering, multivocality, and intertextuality. You can find some of those words here. And although I do not wish to underrate the contribution that this experiment may have to our ways of understanding and engaging with Greek antiquity, I would like to present to you some of the concerns currently expressed in the field of new media studies with regard to digital textuality. My own concern is, would similar risks arise if we carried on the project of hypertextualizing Greek antiquity? In a new book by Yves Sitton entitled The Ecology of Attention, published this year, the main argument developed builds upon an older idea, namely that the hypertextual condition, including the digital realm, represents a strange kind of marketplace where everything has equal value and everything is equally valueless. As prosumers, both producers and consumers of information in the form of opinions, perceptions, alternative readings and statements, we simply strive to guarantee the visibility of a series of alternatives. But no mechanism can be adduced or permitted for reflecting upon, assessing, and ultimately choosing between these alternatives. Dimitris said before, we always say should, and who should at the end of the day? Who decides? Sitton goes as far as to suggest that information itself no longer matters. What matters instead is the guarantee of its transient visibility. This idea is perfectly encapsulated. It's left.
It needs my
Caress, but I can describe the project while you...
No, it's fine. No, it's your attention.
Is it?
Oh.
Came back.
Okay. Hold it there. I have to describe it first. This idea is perfectly encapsulated by Heron Malloon's recent art project entitled An Internet. This is an installation that consists of a system of glass tubes arranged according to the distribution of undersea internet cables. The artist translates the name of all 280 cables, such as TAT-14 running between Great Britain and North America, or WACS, WACS, running between South Africa, West Africa, Portugal, and London, into binary smoke signals. These smoke signals are then directed into the network of glass tubes as temporary data. The tubes are filled with smoke until they start leaking and the data disappears again from the internet. An internet represents a network in which data is no longer produced to be stored for future use, but to be instantly accessible and then lost forever. So I'll just show it for you for a moment. Can you see? It does resemble this, doesn't it? Well, that's about it. According to Sitton, the increasing wealth and transient visibility of information not only diminishes its value, but also implies a scarcity of something else: attention. This was in fact my initial reaction when I was invited to contribute to today's workshop. How could liquid antiquity attract attention? Would the only reason for attracting readers and authors be the security provided by its visible interpretive polyphony? The right to see and to be seen. Individuals who become individualized the very moment they become part of a media ecology which is based on collective voyeurism and collective narcissism. Sitton argues that the foregoing situation is very far from what attention stands for. attention comes from attendere, to tend towards. It is focused interaction. It is vector and potential. It is pressure, an engagement, a return, an effort, a tendency towards endurance and enhancement. In short, Citon emphasizes the need to revisit the irreducible qualitative properties of attention and claims that it is about time we started exploring the art of attention, how attention can be learned, cultivated, practiced, and designed in ways that produce new forms of collective belonging, becoming. Why is this an important point to take into account in this discussion about the experiment that is liquid antiquity? Because while we, students of Greek antiquity, remain stuck in our mission, in our crusade, to guarantee the inclusion of diverse voices in and for the classical past, a novel kind of cultural inequality is emerging, fueled by developments in the field of informatics, digital media, and the cultural industries. In recent years, what appears to be at stake within the confines of these environments is not whether a certain piece of information gets included or not in a platform. Rather, it is being at the height of visibility that matters, right at the top of ranks and search results. So attention becomes an issue. It's the new commodity. It becomes measured to the point that we are shaped by algorithms and we shape algorithms. Under this scheme, the new potential outsiders are not so much the excluded or the silenced, but rather the relegated. An attempt is thus made to organize collective attention on the basis of the principle of prioritization, from Google search engines to impact factors in academic research. The consequence of the above is the transformation of attention ecology to an attention economy. The problem, of course, is not so much that the vector becomes the scalar, that attention has to be measured. The problem might be more what is attended to and what is measured. Perhaps we could pay attention to what this commodity economy can't include as something measured. Some quite measurable things whose measure do not compute because it does not take the form of exchange value. This might be one aspect of ecology. And for example, I found very intriguing this whole discussion about captions, because the caption is a very promising technology of attention attraction and can be played out in many different ways. Let me bring you an example from the digital realm. Tagonomies, folksonomies, bottom-up labelings and themes arising from social platforms is another form of creative communities, becomings, and attention. In the same way that a book changed our printed books, changed our idea of attentions, I don't know how new technologies such as 3D printing, for instance, might change the way we perceive or get in interaction with materials, text, or whatever. So I'm just giving you here some examples. In my opinion, this is the true challenge of hypertextuality now that visibility is guaranteed, because visibility is now guaranteed. How we can take advantage of the vectoral power of attention without allowing ourselves to be imprisoned either in a noisy cage or a scalar cage. Thank you very much. Maybe relevant, maybe not.
I'm just wondering, should we have Kosti's speak or should we do a response to this is like a slightly different. What would you prefer?
I think I will agree with Destina to have a discussion and interaction because you have an idea about different subject matter. So who were not prepared for that, but it's my great pleasure to have a feedback about her own thesis. Hopefully the opposite from her.
And then present. Okay. I think that makes more sense
Okay.
too, but let's just keep
we're
an eye
not
on the
prepared
time
for
so
that
we
because
don't.
we didn't know the subject matter of each of one.
No, you're not supposed to
Yes,
respond.
I think we weren't supposed to.
No, it's a
It's
different
different.
structure.
Yeah,
It's different,
different.
and this is actually a
Different.
unique.
We were prepared,
Yeah.
I mean, we were told to respond. That's what, yeah.
Yeah.
This is not required.
Yeah.
Good.
Don't worry.
It's a good test of attention to
Yeah.
listen to your talk first and then see if you
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't-
that's
But you can say something.
But trying to understand, of course, it is a hugely interesting topic what you have presented before because it concerns all of us. Because every day we are in a digital world. But trying now to see, concerning my own discipline, what could be relevant in relation to the liquid antiquity, I would say that all this collective voyeurism and collective narcissism that is exploited in social media could also be very present in the shows, in the exhibitions, in the strategies of display.
That's why I talked about
Yeah.
hypertextual environments and conditions and
Yeah.
not just the digital.
Exactly. That they could function like a archaeological entertainment in some ways. Some of the shows that we have seen, not only through documentary aspect, but also different shows. But I'm not speaking about our specific show in Benaki. I'm speaking about the way that some artists are trying to interpret archaeology and all the disciplines around archaeology, of course classicism, of course disciplines that are related with the practices of excavation and the revelation of the past as a form of knowledge. Some artists, maybe I could also include myself, because I don't want to feel that I'm the right artist, that there is a wrong artist. There are a lot of artists that they are not trying only to find a critical way to interpret their relationship to the past, but they are using the past for reasons of self-satisfaction, because even the notion of the sublime, which is related with an historical past in some cases, it is a justified reason for someone to try to grasp something from the past, just for reasons to feel more with an hedonistical way, to feel this satisfaction that his work possibly has the possibility to become a classic work, because simply the subject matter is related with the past. So it is not an issue of meaning, it is an issue of display, of politics of display. The strategy of the museums that is trying to imitate in order his work to become more classified and taxonomized within an aspect of antiquity. Antiquity has the authority of the guarantee of the quality also. So we've seen a lot of artists the last years that are sublimed by the past. They are doing their no sense is